Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of What's Happening Now with C&I Solutions. As always, remember to like, share, and comment on this broadcast live. There could be some vital information in here that would be helpful to not just yourself, but to someone who you might know, or friends or family members, or perhaps other business owners in the community. So tonight, we have a very special guest here in the studio with us tonight. We have the North Huntsville Business Association president himself, Mr. McKenzie. Brewster, go ahead and take it.
All right. Mr. McKenzie, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
Hey,
thank you for having me.
We're glad that you could make it out and we sit down, we have a talk with our viewers and give them some vital information about what's happening in Huntsville, Alabama. I tell you what, viewers, just a bit of time that I've been sitting here and talking with Mr. McKenzie, there is so much that I don't know. And I know there's a lot that you don't know. So please, get your pen, get your pencil, get your pad, whatever it takes, write this information down. As he describes his website, definitely go and take a look at it because there's some vital information out there that's not just for our future, but also for our children's future, and especially those here in the Huntsville community, right? So, Mr. McKenzie, I in the conversation we were having leading up to this show, I would desperately would love for you to describe North Huntsville. Lay it out for me. What is North Huntsville? And where is North Huntsville?
North Huntsville is, I'm going to tell you what it's not first. It is not Northwest Huntsville, where we have Mid-City and Providence.
Right.
Most people confuse that with North Huntsville. It is not Northeast Huntsville. Mm-hmm. It is North Huntsville. Just take the Parkway as you headed down the Parkway from University Drive all the way to Meridianville. Okay. So that quarter in the center is North Huntsville.
Okay. So for those who are in Huntsville area, give me an area specifically that's of particular.
Okay, I'll give you specific. If you Parkway, North Parkway, mm-hmm. If you take North Parkway, and we'll use District 1 as our guide. Jordan Lane, all the way to Jordan Lane from the Parkway, all of that is North Huntsville. If you go all the way Jordan Lane, of course you can come University Drive. Come down University Drive. Mm-hmm. So that whole sector going all the way down to Meridianville is North Huntsville.
Why is it that it seems to me, as I'm listening, when I get to that Walmart and then there's that plaza across from that Walmart on University, that first, go by Best Buy, that area, right? Mm-hmm. That area seems to be, growing.
Right.
But there's a part of it before that seems like it's just left alone. Like there's no growth in that area, right? You have the University of Alabama in Huntsville,
right?
That sits on that side, but mm-hmm. on the Hub Zone side, pretty much where we're at, right? And then there are other areas as we're going on down that it just doesn't seem like it's seeing any growth. Why is that?
And that's part of Northwest Huntsville, to mm-hmm. be exact. Mm-hmm. And those are areas that are just like North Huntsville. Mm-hmm. They have just not been a focus on those areas, mm-hmm. and there have not been any economic vitality or things put in place to help that area grow.
Right.
So that's the problem that we have in North Huntsville, mm-hmm. but things are changing. And that's why I'm here to really talk about some of the great things that are happening mm-hmm. and how the city and business leaders and others, city council people that are coming together to make sure that some of those things are realized in North Huntsville.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to ask you something. What makes the NHRB different? What makes it
NHBA?
NHBA?
Yes, okay. North Huntsville Business Association. What makes us different mm-hmm. is that we are a 501c6. We're not a chamber. We're not, a lot of people think we are a chamber, but we are a business association. And our main purpose is to collaborate with the city to identify opportunities specifically in North Huntsville that will be vital to the community. Right. So we look at the cultural, social, and the business entities to see how we can thrive in our community and how we can bring others in all of Huntsville to North Huntsville to have a place that they can come and feel good about. So our main goal is how do we collaborate with others? How do we advocate? And how do we bring those businesses to North Huntsville to help improve North Huntsville and to have others who want to come and live, work, and play in North Huntsville. So those are the things that we're pushing. And we are, as I call it, we are the heavy lifters.
Okay.
We're not trying to do what other organizations or chambers are doing.
Right.
We're not trying to do all the training. We have a lot of entities, and we collaborate with those entities and our members to bring them in and connect them with those other entities to do some of those things that need to happen for the businesses in North Huntsville.
Right.
So, the heavy lifting that we do is, and I gave you the example earlier where we had an organization that was going to have to pay $25,000 to get a grease trap. And they contacted us and we were able to save him that money. And I think it was a game changer because he probably wouldn't have opened that business if he would have had to do that. But we had those connections. We had the know-how just from being the experience that we have to know how to get it done. And he's located in North Huntsville. So those are the kinds of things that we do, that kind of heavy lifting to make sure North Huntsville is successful.
So what does it take for the everyday citizen like myself to get more involved with the success of that the NHBA is working towards?
If you have a business in North Huntsville, we definitely want you to contact us. Individuals can contact us. We have a lot of volunteer committees that individuals can serve on. And the reason we specify individuals in North Huntsville, because we want things that happen in North Huntsville. We want the citizens, the businesses in North Huntsville to be a part of, making those things happen and driving that strategic direction and saying, this is what we want in our community. We don't want others. We need other support from all the communities, but we need to make sure that the people in North Huntsville have that voice, and that voice is heard, and we continue to strategically look at those things that we want to happen in North Huntsville.
For some reason, Ms. McKenzie, I want to dig a little deeper. As you were speaking, I wrote down what's the need, right? And when it comes to the areas in particular within North Huntsville, I'm going to ask you, probably give an answer, but I'm going to ask again.
Okay.
How is the need determined? How is the need determined what's needed?
Well, let me just make it simple. And you look at other communities. We do not have a major grocery store in North Huntsville.
Oh, yeah.
That's a need. We do not have a hotel in North Huntsville. So I'm looking at the basic. Those are the basic elements. And there's other things, but we can talk just about the basic. Major grocery store, hotel, those kind of things. So those are just front and center. Those are things that are in every community. But not in North Huntsville.
I'm thinking about Domino's, and viewers, the reason why I say I'm thinking about Domino's, it's almost like a light said, you know what? When a hotel comes, people stay in hotels.
There you go.
People spend money in that area. Right.
That's correct.
And grocery store, same thing. Instead of the community members taking their dollars outside of the community to other areas and spend them at major supermarkets, and they're growing, they don't have one in their own community. I tell you, it's listen to the little things that we miss. And these are the things that, we're in our communities and we're just used to the norm. And the norm might be going down the street to one of the major chains, and we don't even think nothing about it. But here you are in your organization, you're out fighting for those things.
And people have said that, well, you can get to one of those 5 minutes from your location in North Huntsville. And my response is, it's the same 5 minutes coming to North Huntsville.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that we have to, and people don't think about that. But that is something that we have to think about. And how do we get the basic essentials in North Huntsville? So that's our goal and what we're working toward. How do we start with the basics? And those are two basic things that are relevant that we do not have. Grocery store, what happened with that grocery store, you get other housing with that. You get other housing in the $450,000 range attached to that. And then you get other things that's happening, like the school board is coming to North Huntsville with a career center, and we'll talk about that. Those kind of things encourage others to get involved and say, hey, so we're getting calls, hey, where can I locate in North Huntsville? We're getting investors that's calling and saying, I would like to do this. Can we talk about that? So the city has been great in the city councilman, Mr. Devin Keith, in driving some of those things that needs to happen in North Huntsville.
Planning is essential, and I'm glad to hear that, Mr. McKenzie, that you and your organization are inserting yourself within that planning, and making sure that you're being heard, and making sure sometimes the citizens of those areas don't even know what they need in a sense. Charles, I'm gonna move to you in a moment, but I want to ask about missed opportunities right quick.
Okay.
Charles, hold on. Charles, unless you have something for it right now.
Well, it's not that I have anything pressed right now, Mr. Formby, but I do want to ask this one question for Mr. McKenzie for the sake of all of our viewers who are watching. How did you get started, Mr. McKenzie? What's your background that brought you to this?
Well, my background is I came to Huntsville and back in 1979 and came to Alabama A&M University. I was involved in the Student Government Association, went through ROTC, graduated and went to the Army. I stayed and did active duty, did reserve, and my last 7 years was active duty in the Army, retired after 28 years. I also did engineering, where I was vice president of an engineering company here in Huntsville. So I was asked by Councilman Showers in 2016 to take this organization and guide it in a direction that we thought it needed to go. Councilman Showers and he, with North Huntsville Business Association, the goal was to, how do we get rid of some of the blight, some of the old buildings in North Huntsville? How do we start revitalizing and building new opportunities in North Huntsville? And he felt like I could lead that effort. So, of course, moving forward, we were meeting, but most of those meetings was like a community meeting where they was talking about, well, you didn't pick up my trash. And in conversation with Councilman Showers, that's why he asked me to take it over. I said, this is not that kind of meeting. We need to be talking about the hotels, the grocery stores, the other things that we need in North Huntsville. So fast forward, we were able to hire executive director. We helped with Jim Batson revitalize the building that we're in. And we were able to move to that location and start really putting our teeth in some strategic goals. And the first thing that we did, which was a great thing, because with Betty Mays and some of the other restaurants and others who moved into that location, we subsidized their rent for the first year to make sure they was going to be successful. Right. And that's what our message is. We do all we can do to make sure that we give organizations that kind of support, and we pull others in, because we don't do the training, we don't do all those other things, but we pull other people in to help us make sure that those businesses are going to be successful.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Charles, I got a question on the screen here. It says, what do you feel are solutions to attracting commerce to the area? And then I think that's a second part. It says, making it more attractive to locating new businesses.
Well, I think that if you notice on the Parkway, there were some dilapidated buildings, and it used to be the old Terry Pizza and the old, it was a record shop there as well. And Councilman Keith, that was one of his first moves. That is no longer there. That property is now it's a park, but that's a property that we're looking at to revitalize, to bring some commercial businesses there. Now, as you notice, where the school board is going used to be Old Builder Square. That's going to be the school board, and they're going to put a career tech center. That's going to drive other people into the area. There, if you notice, other buildings have been torn down, and there's a site on Sparkman Drive that the city is looking at, and that probably will be torn down and repurposed in the future. So we have to get rid of the blight and then start bringing in the new. And Councilman Keith, I don't know, Jaguar Hills, it was a prime example that they were able to do some things there. And you wouldn't think that houses would be selling for $300,000+, and you sell out. I think they're on phase 4 now. This is in North Huntsville. So I think we have to prove that things we already know, but we have to prove to the general community and other investors outside that North Huntsville spend money and it can work and will work. So we have to support those entities when they do come and make sure that they are successful. So I think we're doing some of those things that are attracting other investors from all around the U.S. We're getting calls from Atlanta and other places of folks, people who want to invest. And most of the land that's left in Huntsville is in North Huntsville. So we're in a good situation right now that we should get a lot of those businesses that want to locate. And I give a quick example of Cabela's, who moved out to Bridge Street. North Huntsville was one of their first location that they looked at. Mm-hmm. So if Cabela's did a national search and they came in and say, right here where Old Books A Million is where we really would want to be. Yeah. So that tell you a lot about North Huntsville and that corridor. And I think it's the most traveled corridor in all of Huntsville, North Huntsville.
That's kind of like that intersection of University, and then you have
and the Parkway.
And the Parkway.
And one other thing is that Starbucks, who used to be on Maston Lake, that was one of the highest profit Starbucks in the region, in North Huntsville. So that tells you a lot about the traffic count. The people will spend money in North Huntsville. Right. We just need to create the opportunities. Right. Thanks for that question.
Wow, great. So, Mr. McKenzie, moving forward, and I know you kind of briefly touched about this when we were in the beginning stages of the interview, and you outlined the regions would cover North Huntsville. For those businesses that are not within the North Huntsville area, do you feel or do you welcome them who would like to be part of the North Huntsville Business Association to help revitalize the North Huntsville?
We do, and we need those other businesses, and we invite them. We have an opportunity for them to be a part of North Huntsville Business Association, and we need their expertise because there are some of those businesses that are in other areas, Northwest, Northeast, South. So we welcome all to help us revitalize, because the way I look at it, if Huntsville is going to be not just the number one city in Northwest, Northeast, and South, we're the number one city, period, in Huntsville. So so we need to lift all the boats as we go down this process. So even when we build this $50 million bridge that the city has been talking about, we don't want that to be seen as a separation. So when you come past that bridge, everything just become blighted. Right. We want to make that, hey, whether you going south on that bridge or you coming north, everything is going to really look good. It's going to look like all of Huntsville is thriving. Right. And that's what we want. So we welcome all businesses. However, they're in our strategic direction. We do give the North Huntsville businesses and those that live there and investors more of the voice, because we don't want others coming into North Huntsville and we want them to come and tell us, what we need and what we ought to do. Mm-hmm. But the citizens and the businesses in North Huntsville will pretty much have that final say. Right. And that's what we want. So Charles, we welcome all businesses and individuals that want to help.
Yeah, outstanding.
I understand, Charles, that just makes sense. I don't see how anyone could have any grief or heartburn over that. Charles, I'm a couple of points, right? zoning. This have there been any zoning changes? Are there any potential zoning changes that may affect the plans, the goals?
I'm not really sure. I haven't kept up with all the zonings. I'm
Mhm.
sure Devin Keith, city councilman, is looking into that. But there have been some opportunities where we had to, and I've been down to the city council to speak on certain issues where zoning was an issue. So I'm not familiar with all the zoning issues right now. So I have to kind of punt on that one.
Okay.
And we'll refer to Councilman Keith and make sure that, and the planning commission, because,
Right.
and that leads back to one of the other questions where you asked about missed opportunities.
Yes, there you go.
And we have, on the planning commission, we have folks that look like us on the planning commission. We have had the chair of the Huntsville Chamber board chair who looked like us in the past.
Wow.
We have had a chair of the Huntsville Hospital who looked like us. So when you say missed opportunities, when those individuals are in place on these boards, they have to help bring these things to fruition. And I'll give you a prime example on that. When I was on the hospital board, we were placing doctors all over the city and county that was coming out of doing their residency school and coming out of school. We were setting them practices up all over Huntsville. And I think we may have had 80 at the time. So I was newly on the board. And so I asked the question. I said, well, let's put all of them on a map. And we looked at it. And I said, what's wrong with North Huntsville? Not Northwest, not Northeast. There's no doctor in North Huntsville in that central location. And they said, well, we ran the numbers and it won't work. The person will probably lose $100,000 the first year. And I was like, well, I don't think so. I think the person will be successful because, you know, I'm in North Huntsville and I have Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I know where they went with their numbers. They probably said 300 people will come and 280 of them will be indigent. And I said 280 will have Blue Cross Blue Shield like me, and 20 will be indigent. So Dr. Michael Johnson he's the doctor that we first put in North Huntsville. He built a brand new facility. He's very successful. He's he told me the reason he stayed in North Huntsville because he was successful. Built a brand new facility. Wow. So had I not been spoke up on that board, Dr. Michael Johnson may be somewhere else, not even in Alabama. Right. But because I was on that board and I wasn't adamant about anything, I knew that there was a doctor who was qualified coming out of school. We had done it with other folks and they probably just didn't even think about it. But I knew being in North Huntsville, he would be successful. Now, had I not, and that's what I say about missed opportunities, when we have people on these boards and in key positions, and it's okay to ask the question and help Huntsville become a better place. Right. Who don't want a good doctor? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so those are the missed opportunities, I think. And like I said, with the planning committee, we have folks that look like us that are on those commissions. Right. And they have to be attuned to what's happening in all of Huntsville, of course, but North Huntsville specifically do not need to be left out. And I think the city is doing a great job now looking, like I mentioned this early on, that we're not looking backwards with the North Huntsville Business Association because we have so much to look forward to. That's right. And we're going to help Huntsville not only be the #1 city in part of Huntsville or Alabama or U.S., but all of Huntsville, including North Huntsville. Right. And that's our goal.
This past Friday, myself and Mr. McKenzie were at an event together. And at that event, one of the things that in our conversation that came out of, and I think we both agreed, people who hold those positions cannot be afraid of their legacy, their right now legacy, right? What I mean by their right now legacy is it's got to be more than that. They got to be able to leave a greater tomorrow. So you got to make the tough decisions. To me, people are looking for that next vote, that next term. and I don't want to get deep into politics. I'm gonna leave that alone, and I'm gonna move on to the North Huntsville Business Association goals. Charles, I kind of see you up there. Right?
So obviously you brought up some very, very good valid points for those who are in those positions. My question would be to you is, how do the citizens reach those people to come ask important questions?
Right. And I proposed this in the past, and I haven't talked specifically about Councilman Keith about it, but what I propose that these individuals that's on these boards, there'll be some kind of quarterly, it doesn't have to be monthly, but quarterly feedback to Devin, Keith, and others in the community. And maybe at one of his, and maybe he can invite different people to his his town meetings. Mm-hmm. And they can be that speaker to talk about what's going on in these various boards and committees that our citizens are on. Because we need to know, because like I said, there's a lot that goes on.
Right.
On those, especially those big boards, Huntsville Utilities, Huntsville Hospital, and there's some great things that's going on. But just to keep the citizens attuned where they won't be surprised. Right. Just like the utility bill, everybody was complaining, but we have some folks that can meet at the town hall and explain that and help explain why this is happening. Mm-hmm. It's not just something that they just pulled out of the sky. Right. Here's the reason and the rationale. So I think that would make people more comfortable. But at the same time, like you said, there are some tough decisions sometimes that has to be made to make sure that all of Huntsville is participating in this rite of passage, right. That we are trying to make sure that things are better for the whole.
Right. And, Charles, one thing I've come to agree that Mr. McKenzie and his organization are making they're part of those tough decisions. Everything that I've heard is what I dreamed that our community leaders, and I do see you as a community leader, even you're not in politics, right? You are a community leader because you're looking out for the community. Right. You're there working behind the scenes, making things go for tomorrow, for the generations to come. The improvements within North Huntsville, even if it's a supermarket, no matter what it might be, it's for potentially my children. Right. My grandchildren, your grandchildren, and so on and so forth. But so keep that in mind when you hear about the organizations like the NHBA, North Huntsville Business Association, that's out there putting in the work. Right. And one other thing I'll say, and that maybe something we can add to not that we want to be that organization, but we may have to be to bring those board members into quarterly or biannual to just brief the community on what's going on in those particular areas where everybody can be comfortable with what's happening. Because like I said, and especially with the planning commission, it's a lot of things that was decided 10 years ago. And most of us think, oh, that just happened yesterday. No, that was already in the plan. Right. And we have folks that are involved in those areas that can kind of keep us abreast of what's going on. Right. So we could be, but that's something that we can have a conversation with Councilman Keith about. How do we bring that to fruition? Because you made a good point there, Charles. How do we get that to the citizens? I had a wealth of knowledge because I was on the hospital board and I talked with my councilman about it. But I've never went in a forum and just talked to the general public about some of the things that we were facing, tough decisions and votes that I had to make. And we can kind of, nothing proprietary, nothing classified or whatever, just general information that the public needs to know and need to be aware of. Right.
And that is a very good point that you bring there, because the many people who I've spoken to in the community, as we're out in the community doing our CBO events, a lot of them are not aware of what's going on, and nor do they know how to obtain the information of what's going on. So that's part of the issues that I've been facing, and I try to give as much information as I can, but even I don't know everything. I'm not aware of what the hospital board is voting on or what they're saying. I'm not aware of what Huntsville Utilities is saying at their board. And like you said, these things get voted on years in the past, but then tomorrow something's happening. We're thinking this just happened last night, last week vote, when this was an actual vote from years back. And I recall going to a couple city council meetings and sitting in the list and hearing what they're about as far as rezoning some of the areas out in the West Huntsville where the plant was going to be at. But come to find out, this was something that was taking place 4 years ago. Like this, and I'm thinking it was just something they voted on last week.
Right.
So I think that's important if there's a way that we can get information out to the general public so they could be aware, especially what's the changes are going to be happening right there in North Huntsville and how we're trying to get these businesses to come in and help develop that area so that North Huntsville is just as prosperous in achieving its goals as East, South, and West Huntsville is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So that's something I think we can work in collaboration on and working with the city councilman, and how do we and maybe it's just information sessions that we can have. And here's the thing, is not to be, it's just information that we need to know. There are some decisions sometimes that even now we have some things that we can't talk about that we know that are close to happening. But a lot of times the businesses or organizations don't want you to talk about it for whatever reason. So there are some things that we won't be able to say or talk about, but sometimes we use that to keep from talking about anything. So there are some things that we can talk about and bring to the community and just make them feel comfortable. And it's okay. Like I said, it's okay to talk about those things and have a heart-to-heart conversation about it. And even when I have discussions with some of my colleagues and others, and we are, especially North Huntsville, and I said this before, if we had a hotel and a major grocery store, most people in North Huntsville will be happy. Now, that's not a lot. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But a lot of them would be happy. But we don't have just those basic things. And the city's working hard. Everybody's working hard to make that happen, the council people, so we getting all the support from everybody. And I think that's going to happen. But I'm just saying, those two little simple things, they'll be like, oh, we got a so-and-so. And people be happy because they hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
So when they see that new development with the school board and other things, they be like, wait, hey, North Huntsville is on the move.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think that causes change.
Right.
Change within the individuals, to be to work with their community more.
Right.
So, Mr. McKenzie, I don't want you to get out of here without talking about the North Huntsville your goals. You have some goals that you brought in, and you want to kind of talk about them. So let's get to them. Let's just talk about those goals.
And when we talked earlier about, he was asking about strategic plans, and there are strategic plans that some people have probably where nothing would happen in North Huntsville. Mm-hmm. Our strategic plan, they are very simple. And there are a couple of pages, you have these 300-page documents that people have and talk about all this stuff. Ours are very simple. We're saying we want this, and I'll use example. We put it on the table. We want a major grocery store. And they said, well, you got Kroger's. I said, okay, we got Kroger's, okay. But we need another major grocery store in North Huntsville. Mm-hmm. Then we say, okay, city, how do we collaborate to make that happen? Okay, so now who are the investors, or do we go to that headquarters, and how do we start that conversation? Do we invite them in? Then we get to a point and say, okay, what is our target date to make that happen? So right now we have an effort like that we can't talk about right now, but I think we're about 90% there in making that happen. But it was a very simple strategic plan, and it was just asking the question. Same with the hotel. That's part of one of our goals. And we're saying hotels are all over the community except North Huntsville. So who build hotels? We know some of the investors, and we were close before COVID hit. We actually had paperwork. We had a person that was going to do it, had built hotels before and wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And COVID hit, and it just slowed everything down. So we're starting back to revisit that with investors, and the city can't build hotels. Right. Investors have to build them. There are some things the city can do, and the city has been doing everything they can do to help anything that we're trying to do as an organization, and as they're helping, like with Devin Keefe, some of the projects he's had, and some of them that we still don't know about that's going to happen in North Huntsville.
Right.
So those are two simple things. One of the other things, and you hear the old saying, everybody want to live, work, and play. They use all them acronyms, and we want people to say, hey, let's go north. Anytime you come north, we have one strategic plan that we want to have. And I'll say this, and I'm gonna put this out there, and I've said it before. There's a location that we want to have where people can come to North Huntsville. For instance, we getting people from all over the country. So if you want a Chicago pizza, you can come to that location and get an authentic Chicago pizza. If you want a Philly steak, that's signature Philly steak from Philly, we want that kind of organization there.
Right.
So we're looking strategically at specific, unique restaurants and others that could come to a location in North Huntsville, and you come there, and it's kind of like a Providence area, I guess, and you come there to enjoy those authentic kinds of foods, right, and those kinds of things. So that's one of the other things that we're working toward. And then there's a big thing that we want to do when it comes to play. And I can't really talk much about that, but we will bring more information as it comes. But if we're able to pull that off from that play aspect, it will be the most unique thing in Huntsville, period.
Right.
Promise you, if we're able to do that. So we're starting a conversation about that and working with other entities to kind of strategically look at how we can make that happen. But those are some of the big things. But like I say, the basic things, the grocery store, the hotel, then looking at an area that will be a signature area where people can come and enjoy from all of Huntsville, right, just like Jones Valley or down south. You have the farm, I can't think of the Hayes Farm area they're building up. So we Ditto Landing that they're building. So we want a place in North Huntsville where all the citizens, instead of going to Mid-City, they can come to North Huntsville and enjoy. And of course, we have Jaguar Hills that Councilman Keefe is doing some things over there. There's going to be a small amphitheater and some other stuff that's happening over there. So there's some things happening. So we're just trying to, and we don't want to bite off too much, at one time. Right. But we get those things in place, and we'll be adding other things. And as we expand our membership and bring others in, hopefully we get those ideas that would help North Huntsville flourish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have a question on that.
Yes, sir.
With that change and with all those changes and those great ideas that you guys got to bring into the North Huntsville area, how will the new young aspiring entrepreneur fit into that?
Well, here's what, and I'll give you, I guess, two things. One, we did a Promote the Parkway thing, say a year or so ago, where we gave free rent to a up and coming business, a young entrepreneur, and bringing that company into our organization, we were able to share those particular goals. And believe it or not, there are some, and I call you young too, Charles. People don't realize how old I am, but you all have great ideas and great initiatives, but there are others older like me who can say, hey, I like that idea. So how do we collaborate and bring that to fruition? Because that younger generation, they want it right now in a hurry and think it's going to happen tomorrow. Yeah.
Right.
And it's a process sometimes to bring that to fruition, but it needs to be happening. But a lot of times there are ideas that some of the young folks put on the table, and we got others like me who would say, well, it took us 28 years to get something like that done, but that's okay. It shouldn't be a problem. I'm one of those like, hey, if we can get it done in 4 years or 3, let's do it. I'm not looking backwards about what I wasn't able to enjoy or participate in. But we need those young minds and those young entrepreneurs to bring those ideas to us and see how we can help bring that to fruition. So yeah, so they can just contact us. I'll give you a quick example. We had a young man, and I don't know if you know him, but he has an organization called TAG. It's dealing with golf. It's called TAG, and he's trying to build a situation where more African Americans and minorities become a part of golf, because golf right now is doing, a lot of stuff, and they got the other little thing going on with a lot of the golfers going to play somewhere else. So he says he thinks it's a prime opportunity. We sit down with him for 10 minutes, and he was so motivated when he left that meeting. And I said one thing, and my mind works pretty fast. And I said, so your organization named TAG. I said, so what is your punchline? He said, well, I said, well, call it TAG, you're it.
There you go.
And because he wants mentors and mentees to tie together. So TAG, I'm tagging you now. It's your time to take your rightful place to help us move this thing forward.
Right.
And he loved that. So we're going to have more conversations. And he just came in the office, just saw the sign. But that's the kind of things that happen when we interact with those young professionals who have these great ideas, and we can help grow that and make sure that it comes to fruition. And we want to be a part of that. And we have some knowledge to help with that. So that's what, like I said, we don't want to do the training. We have CNI, we have you all and others who can do training and other things. We want to bring all that together because we don't want to do it. Like I said, we the heavy lifters. We want to deal with these growth, these other investors that want to, but all that the other things that needs to happen, we got organizations we can reach out that's already doing it.
Right.
We don't want to recreate the wheel. So, but yes, just to get to your point, we invite them to come to the office, contact us. By the way, we're redoing our website, which hopefully we have it ready by next month. But we invite them to come by our office and let's talk about strategically some of their ideas. I'm meeting next Friday with an investor who said, Reggie, I have money. I want to do something in North Huntsville. Guide me. Tell me what is this? Right. And he has plenty of money.
Outstanding.
So that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, that is good. So www.northhuntsvillebusiness.com.
That's it.
www.northhuntsvillebusiness.com. Take a look at it, you viewers. Take a look at it.
I tell you what, Mr. McKenzie, I think you've done an outstanding job in bringing that business. I know for a fact that for those who are watching this and they live in that Huntsville area and they do have a business, this is something that you guys really want to look into. And if you're watching this and you know somebody in your neighborhood or your neighbor who does in the North Huntsville area, share this broadcast with them, share it with friends, share it with families, get this information out so that everyone can know what is going on in your neighborhood. That is the whole reason why we created this platform, so we can help spread this information to those who need to know what's going on. And hopefully as this continues to air and rebroadcast, it's going to catch the ear of a few people, and someone's going to say, did you know there is this organization going on in North Huntsville that is doing this? So I definitely appreciate everything you brought to the table this evening and shared with us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all for having us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
So, Mr. McKenzie, is there anything else that you would like to leave to our viewers?
I think the only thing I would like to leave, I've been in Huntsville 40 plus years. I love Huntsville, and I'm one of the biggest advocates for Huntsville. And one of the taglines we say is that we're not looking backwards because we have so much to look forward to. So all those organizations out there, whatever in the past, we're not worried about that. How can we collaborate, become partners, and help grow all of Huntsville, to include North Huntsville? And I would like to say the city is bending over backwards to do all they can do. We got others in the community. We got investors that's coming forward. And that's the kind of excitement and the kind of momentum that I see at this point to make something great happen in North Huntsville. But if it happened in North Huntsville, all of Huntsville is going to be proud. So that's what I'm motivated and excited about. And that's why I'm going to continue to work and do what I can do and take my rightful place to make sure that North Huntsville is successful.
Excellent. I tell you what, you couldn't have said it better. There's some, I tell you what, call me call me here at CNI Solution. We can talk more about it, because I tell you what, as I'm sitting here and my wheels are just turning, the simplicity of the process, and I'm a big process person, right?
Mhm.
You know, I live off this highway called Zerk Road.
Right.
There are 2 supermarkets with the same name within 4 or 5 miles. And tell me, why is it that this North Huntsville area can't get that supermarket that starts with a P, right? Why is that? We have 2 within 5 miles.
Right.
And I said to myself, I said, what gives?
Wait, you remember the 5-minute thing I talked about earlier?
Yes, yes.
That is the reason some of them say that, because you can get to any one of those other ones 5 minutes from North Huntsville. And we have to remind them that it's the same 5 minutes coming in the other direction.
Absolutely.
It's still 5 minutes.
Right. The community of Huntsville, when I think about Redstone Arsenal and the government and the things that they have planned, and if the Space Force thing, you know, if it takes off, and all of the people that are coming into Huntsville, and the Huntsville community is growing, expanding outward, right? But there's still a lot of dirt, right?
Yeah.
In North Huntsville.
Still a lot of dirt.
There's still a lot of dirt, and it makes no sense not to use that dirt.
Right. And we, like I said, we are fastly approaching those things that's going to make North Huntsville thrive. And as you bring those elements in, and this, like I said, the school board and what they're doing is a game changer.
Yes.
That's going to be a nice facility, and adding that career tech area there, and doing something for those younger students, and then other businesses that's going to surround it.
Right.
And then the other area that I won't mention that's probably going to be torn down, and a new development in that area. You talk about possibly Chick-fil-A, those kind of folks. And you know us. If we get a Chick-fil-A, we think we've arrived.
Yes, that's right.
So we're going to be putting all those things on the table and kind of talking about it. And we're excited about what the future holds.
I'm excited about it. I know you too. You are as well, Charles. Charles, any closing remarks there?
Hey, only thing I got to say, Brewster, I really enjoyed this time. I really enjoyed listening to Mr. McKenzie, and however CNI Solutions can help support this mission and bring in North Huntsville to where it needs to be. You know, I'm all in. I'm all in, and however we can help, you know, as entrepreneurs and as these young entrepreneurs who come through our course, you know, we're always talking to them about giving back, reaching back into your community, build inside your community. So that is one of the things we do promote like this. And I'm going to make sure all of them they take time to look at your website and come talk to yourself, or either come talk to Ms. Judy, the executive director down there, like this, so they can understand, hey, how can they be a part of this organization? How can they help build up North Huntsville?
Excellent. Charles, you're so right. We appreciate that. So, you know, for viewers, we thank you once again. Remember to share, like, everything that you do on your side. It's exponentially, it will help in all across the nation, because there might be someone in California that views this and makes a decision that, hey, I want to invest in North Huntsville.
Yes.
And it sometimes it takes just that one little click, share, that one little click, like, and someone views that and say, wow, you know, that Mr. McKenzie, he's such one sharp fellow. Let me contact him. So how do, besides the website,
right,
how are you contacted?
Well,
how's your organization contacted?
Well, there are, we have emails. You can do the info at northhuntsvillebusiness.com.
Okay.
Or you can also contact me, R. McKenzie, at northhuntsvillebusiness.com. Our executive director, Jay Harden, at northhuntsvillebusiness.com as well. So those are ways that you can contact us.
Excellent. Hey, remember, you can rewind this. You know, if you missed it, just take your slider and slide it back. You'll see it. So just remember, your yesterday is not your today, right? And your hold on, wait a minute. We just had a comment. I was about to end. Who was that? Who was that? Is that a Larry Bright? Can we get that comment?
Yeah, that's what that looks like.
Yeah. Oh, Love it. Rocket City, Rocket loves what you do. Okay. You know that, Larry Bright? Hey, that's another awesome community. He does a lot of work in the community. He has the boxing facility,
Okay.
boxing gym.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Larry Bright, he's there on Redstone Arsenal as well. Hey, thanks, Larry, and everyone else out there. All righty. So just remember, your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Have a good